Hello, the doc is in and welcome back to another chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 195. In the last chapter, we have Kamo and Naoya going for the 1v1, in his Chris Spirit form to be specific. Kamo, he's holding out, he's losing, but he's standing strong. He's basically relegated himself to sacrificing himself to make sure that his teammates win, because he's lost everything else that's important in his life and this is all he's got. And so as he prepares to basically take the last, use what little he has left of his curse energy and of his life to hold back Naoya long enough so that then Maki can heal, because apparently she can heal now. No curse, no reverse curse, just heal. Two guys show up, one old guy, one guy with a terrible haircut. And one of them yelling katana and one of them yelling sumo, and that was the end of the chapter. And chapter starts off with Katana Man. Alright, so we have Katana Guy, old guy, cool mustache, pretty muscular actually. He pulls up. Well, he didn't pull up, but my assumption is that he's an old sorcerer, because the way he's kind of acting, he kind of gives me a vibe that he's an old sorcerer. Also, we got a little bit of confirmation later on in the chapter, but we'll off on that. So chapter starts off, he's basically like, the hell's a katana? I'm looking for a katana around here and I can't find one. Like, if you're a Japanese man, how can you not have a katana? Like, what's the dealio? So we spend the first part of the chapter, he's just running around yelling katana, looking for one, which honestly, when you think about it, doesn't really make sense, because katanas don't have, ears or organic in any form or way, but whatever. So he's running around, he's looking for katana, and he's running around. He eventually finds a katana hilt, but it turns out it's Tanjiro's blade, but it's like a toy blade, and it yells like first form water surface slash. And then we have this funny panel where after he finds his toy, he just screams and yells katana, and from there we just cut away from him. But that panel, hilarious. I don't know why. I don't know if it's his I think it's his serious face. In fact, he's crying, and the fact that he's just holding like a reference to Demon Slayer. I don't know, it's just something about it. So then we cut over to Sumo Guy, right? Weird guy, sumo tiger, terrible haircut, weird thing with, I don't know if that's actually his hair that's spiked out on top of his head, or if that he's like wearing a hat thing, but either way it looks ridiculous. So right, his thing is basically a parallel to Katana Man's, where he's just bothering people. He's just like, I just really want to have a sumo fight. He's asking like a bunch of randos. He's asking kids to sumo him. He's asking a teenager, I assume, some girls, and the girls kind of explain, like, they're like, wait, can girls even actually do sumo? And culturally speaking, it seems they cannot. And so he's all butthurt. Mind you, his cheeks are out, but he's all butthurt about the fact that he can't do sumo with anybody, right? And so then at some point he hears like this word Nakota, which I guess is something that's said during a sumo match, and like he hears this somewhere else, and right, he busts into this old lady's room as she's watching a sumo match, and he's like, where's the sumo at? And she's like, oh, I think it's in Tokyo, Ryokoku, whatever. He's in some place in Tokyo, right? So he starts to be all menacing, and then he puts on like classic like traveler things. He gets like the little stick and the little bag he ties around this stick, and then he puts on some sunglasses. He's actually pretty built as well. Really weird, but he looks strong. And he's just walking in the opposite direction of Tokyo. Like, he's walking completely far away from it. A little bit of a Zoro effect. But with these two basically traveling, this is how they just randomly happen upon this fight, right? And they both just stroll on in, yelling their thing, right? And so for a second, as he come off the last chapter, everybody's kind of confused. But Naoya, he's immediately like, well, honestly, who cares? I don't know these people. Let's just get back to the fight. And so he throws a jab at Kamo. Mind you, Kamo's pretty injured already. So if you would have taken that hit, that might have been close to the finish run. But Maki, before 5 minutes have passed, comes back, blocks the attack. Well, not blocks the attack, but gets rid of Naoya's tentacles before they can hit Kamo, right? And so Kamo and Maki talk a little bit, and Kamo kind of realizes like, nah, it's only been 3 minutes about, and she's definitely not ready to get back in the fight, right? Katana Man immediately is on 10. He's like, Katana, he's crying, all right? It's like his soulmate he's talking about, right? He's dying for a katana, right? And so Maki's like, all right, we're at a bit of stalemate, right? The best thing to do here is to add a new variable. So she's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna get this guy this katana and we'll see what happens, right? She throws her sword to him, right? Design of the sword, really cool actually. He grabs it, right? And immediately everybody's on edge, because apparently, all right, here's this guy's backstory. And this is where we get the kind of confirmation that he's actually a sorcerer from the past rather than like, you know, a new guy. Basically, it turns out that this guy is a nameless but really good ass swordsman. And not just any good ass swordsman. He had no curse energy. He's just built different with the sword. That's it. He's like what's his name? The famous swordsman Miyazashi. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'll probably put like his name. And I know he has like that. There's like one manga that kind of follows his journey or whatever. It makes him look really cool. I'll probably put that on the screen too. But basically, that's him. He's just a sword guy. And so everybody's getting stressed because apparently his swordly intent is just so built different that he has spiritual pressure, right? And after getting the sword, right, he immediately cuts at Naoya. And we'll get a little bit of a not explanation, but a little bit of a interesting detail about what he just did here. So he immediately cuts, right? He gets the sword, he cuts at Naoya. Naoya dodges immediately, right? It's pretty fast, whatever. And this guy's like, oh, you know, he's kind of not criticizing, he's kind of criticizing the blade. He's like, oh, you know, I don't got no guard, and it looks alright, it's alright, but it's a special blade because it's like bewitched or whatever. That's what he calls it, which basically just means it's kind of like possessed in a sense. And so he's like, oh, does katana choose its wielder? And then I believe he says, what was that just now? You weren't trying to embarrass me, were you? And I guess this is in reference to like maybe like the spirit of Mai is literally in the blade. So he's like talking spirit of Mai. And so as he's kind of like talking to the sword, right? Naoya then goes for an attack on him. And Maki's like, oh. Well, she didn't say dodge, but she's like, hey, you know, pay attention. And he dodges out the way. He dodges the attack by himself. And again, this is a detail that's going to be explained here. And so he asks Maki, he's like, there's something over there, right? And he's like, is it a spirit? She's like, wait. You can't see it? Like, didn't you just not only attack but dodge its attack? And so then he says something that's really weird that I did not understand. He says, I can't see it, you say. Yes, but if you can see everything else besides it, then isn't that the same as seeing it? And I honestly don't really understand it, but my guess is that what he's kind of saying is that, like, if you can't see what you're looking for, but you can see everything else besides what you're looking for, that means that, in a sense, you kind of see it. I guess the idea would be like, if there's like a blank space in your vision, but you can see everything else besides that blank space, technically you know where that space is, even if you don't necessarily know what it is, I guess, but it may be deeper than that, honestly. But nonetheless, he says this and then immediately just slashes Naoya, like slashes the hell out of Naoya. Like, I mean, he cuts him in half. I'm like, what is he, cracked? Like, how did he hit Naoya if he can't see him? And mind you, he dodged him earlier and immediately was on 10 to slash him from the very beginning, and he can't see him. He doesn't even know what's going on. And now he's just in disbelief. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm saying the same thing. I'm like, what's going on? But guy's happy with himself. I guess he knows he cut Naoya. Don't know how he knows, but he knows. And so from there, Maki's kind of like, she's watching him do his thing, and she's like, since when my sword do that? I didn't know my sword could do that. And so then she's thinking about what he was saying, and then she's like, what's the difference between me and Toji? I guess this is kind of like, this is what moment, I guess this fight will kind of bridge, like after that's gonna be her her power boost, so to say, where she kind of like understands or like connects like the difference that makes her and Toji different at this time, so that then she could then surpass Naoya, I guess. And as the chapter ends, we have the other guy, Sumo guy, activating a simple domain, so he has curse energy, it seems, and it seems like Maki is about to step into his domain, which looks like a sumo ring, but that's the end of the chapter, so I don't know. But no break next week, pretty hype. And with that being said, end of chapter, pretty good chapter, maybe like a 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, pretty solid. Overall, I don't know. This chapter is funny, it's interesting, but I have no idea where we're going from this. Are we having Naoya? Okay, if we're going with the idea, the theory that Naoya's currently in his cocoon form and he's going to turn to a butterfly and gain one last power boost before the end of this fight, this could make sense, because right now Katana Man, he's looking like he's about to solo. I mean, he got a crazy hit off with no sight, like easy. All right, Katana Man is not trying right now. He's just vibing. He's straight vibes in katanas, and he's winning. All right, Maki and Kamo legitimately could just let him take over. So my guess is that right now, Katana Man is probably gonna hold off Naoya, or maybe Kamo will help him out or whatever, right? And maybe Maki and Sumo Guy are gonna have some kind of connection, and then that's gonna help Maki bridge the gap. I think that might not be instantly in the next chapter. There could be a number of things that could go on, but I think that's where we're going with this. That, or maybe Kamo gets a boost from Sumo Man. It really could be either. I'm not 100% sure, but those are my guesses for what's going on this for the next chapter. Overall, this chapter is just good though. I enjoyed it. It's just a good chapter. And I think that's about it for this one. Leave a like if you like. Leave a dislike if you dislike. Comment. What do you think of Katana Man? You think he's funny? I think he's hilarious. Sumo Man, do you think he's cool? I think he's alright. The comedy didn't quite hit the same level with him. Do you think Naoya's gonna transform again? Do you think that's kind of it for him? Do you think we're gonna get a resolution on Maki's, I presume, power up coming up? Or you think that's gonna be held out for a little bit longer before we see the results of this little thought process she's having? And with that all being said, thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, ring the notification bell, subscribe to my channel. Again, subscribe to my other channel, the one with the podcast. And yep, that's about it. The doc is out. Peace.